It's been over a year since I made my first video about the modern state of gaming, and over that period of time, I played so many different games that have been released from then till now. I was going to make an updated video about that topic because of how much fun I've had with gaming over the time that I've made that first video, but recently there's been a game that has blown up. I mean, it's as trendy gets. Released on December 5th, 2024, Marvel Rivals took the gaming industry by storm. No, not that storm. For the past 2 months, my social media feed has been nothing but clips of Marvel Rivals. You got every teenager to young adult spamming the phrase, "Jarvis, clip that shit," whenever the opportunity arises. I can't even go a day without seeing Mr. Fantastic throwing up the fours on me. But brain rot aside, I don't think I've had this much fun playing a hero PvP shooter in a very long time, and that's saying something because I typically stay away from games like this. The game is still freshly new and it's in its honeymoon phase, but I want to talk about the things that really allow the game to feel like a breath fresh of air that I haven't felt in a while. The memes that have been created from Marvel Rivals have truly expressed the age we live in now. The amount of brain rot that has surfaced from this game is absolutely comical, and the amount of songs that are attached to the memes are perfect.
Why do birds suddenly appear?
As I stated before, on all my feeds and social media, it's just mainly been clips of 4 characters from the game: Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, and Jeff. In some forms or another, all 4 of these characters can be in a singular funny clip or a combination of the 4. Doctor Strange and Iron Man are the main clip farming characters because of their abilities to allow certain plays to be made. Clips like these are the bread and butter of what makes this game so vibrant and enticing to play. I know people who would never touch these types of games that suddenly tell me that they're diamond ranked and happily playing the game every day using their favorite characters. And I can definitely understand that because character design in this game is probably the most consistent element of the gameplay. Team-ups are a huge part of the game, and each character has their own unique interaction with certain characters that adds this layer of depth and gameplay not found in a lot of PvP-based games. Usually characters have their individual perks and abilities, and the community figures out some sort of oddly good synergy in order to maximize team strategies, but the synergies in this game are pretty much spelled out in front of you. Some quick notable examples of characters that have these interactions are Hulk, Strange, and Iron Man, giving both characters gamma radiation from Hulk, Cloak and Dagger and Moon Knight giving Moon Knight an invisible bubble, that bubble that makes me want to rip out my hair, Luna Snow giving Jeff and Namor ice versions of one of their attacks, Rocket giving Bucky and Punisher infinite ammo, and finally Venom giving Penny and Spider-Man symbiotic moves that cover them in Venom. For that last matchup, getting hit with the Spider-Man combo into that Venom move is the most infuriating thing to die to. Aside from that, these are some of the more common and popular team-ups that I've mostly seen during my ranked experience because, in my opinion, these are the team-ups that can really take a character from good to absurdly great. This level of character synergies can give the game like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or some sort of other team-based game a run for their money in terms of team building and combinations. Looking at you, Overwatch. The simplicity of just picking a character regardless of the role was a phenomenal decision on NetEase, and I'm sure they definitely had fun making the interactions with certain characters a possibility in the game.
People think you're too skinny to be strong, but you're strong.
Hey, there are people who think I'm as strong as you.
Don't get carried away.
Okay, when the time stream gets sorted out, we arm wrestle.
On the topic of having fun, let's talk about what makes Marvel Rivals just so fun and addicting at pretty much any level of skill. Similar to the previous point, Marvel Rivals is incredibly easy to play and get into. It's pretty much a linear team-based game with 2 types of game objectives. The first main objective is either attacking or defending a moving payload from one point to another, with one checkpoint in the middle of the map. The second main objective is a capture the flag-esque game mode that simply has 2 teams fight over a controlled point for a duration of time in order to win the round. Of the 2 game modes, I would say the latter game mode is a bit more challenging as the tides of the objective can vary heavily on how your team performs. You either are the team that gets mollywopped so hard that your team can't even get to the point, or you're the team that holds down the point like it's the final bastion. And I tell you, holding down that objective like that feels like I'm in the scene of Endgame when Captain America screams Avengers Assemble. Especially when the opposite team keeps pushing the point individually because they don't wait for their team and they just don't push together. It's honestly a huge dopamine shot when you just dominate the round. But on the other end of the stick, it feels like such trash when your team doesn't play together. You would think that point is obvious, but the amount of times I've seen a squishy hella main wannabe push up alone like they're the tank makes me just want to take a maximum pulse straight to the head.
Maximum pulse!
Granted, most matches that I've experienced aren't like that, but there are definitely some outlier matches that make me question if I'm the problem or not. But seeing that's the magic of this game, because as much as you dish out awesomeness, or are the product of someone else dishing out awesomeness, it's still such an interactive game that invites Marvel lovers and team-based PvP lovers into one place. I also find that there is another reason why the game popped up as big as it did. And I'm sure you've all seen this point coming, and for a good reason, because as much as the Marvel fans have been getting a lot of good Marvel-related news lately, with various movies and shows coming out, the team-based PvP community was going through a rough time with another game you're all familiar with, and I said earlier, Overwatch 2. Oh boy, Overwatch 2. That game has experienced a steep decline in popularity due to several factors. Longtime players and fans of Overwatch has expressed extreme dissatisfaction with Blizzard's monetization strategies, particularly with the implementation of battle passes and the lackluster skins and collaborations that were added into the game recently. Also, the removal of planned PvE content killed a lot of people's motivation to keep supporting Blizzard. Additionally, I also found out that the game has been unavailable in China for a period of time that left a significant portion of the player base unable to access it, further contributing to its decreased player count. In contrast, Marvel Rivals has capitalized on this downturn by offering a free-to-play model that has attracted a lot and substantial amount of players, with the report indicating that Marvel Rivals only lost 3% of its average player base 6 weeks after its release, compared to Overwatch 2's 53% decline in the same time frame. Yikes, that's crazy. Its timing with its release also just put the cherry on top, with Overwatch's recent season coming out December 10, 2024, and Marvel Rivals being released literally 4 days after the start of the Overwatch season. This was some next level, like Kendrick Lamar to Drake play, and moving all the attention off of the new season with a whole brand new game with similar aspects in every regard just killed any momentum Overwatch had. I remember having awful reviews for the new Overwatch season, and the amount of people telling me that they're just done with the game for good was just crazy. There are many videos and informations out there better explaining the downfall of Overwatch, but I think it's still very important to discuss why the downfall happened in the first place and how important it was to the sudden blow up of Marvel Rivals. So the question remains, is Overwatch dead now? Short answer, I don't think so. But with Marvel Rivals being one of the only games to literally rival Overwatch in this team-based shooter PvP genre in terms of popularity, then it's not far-fetched to say that the end does look pretty near with all things considered. But I'm sure somewhere down the line, after the honeymoon phase clears and the game gets older, then I think Overwatch might have a chance to make a comeback if they make the right decisions moving forward. Talking about right decisions, Marvel Rivals made one key decision most games avoid doing these days: the implementation of global and text chat. Oh my goodness, BO2 fans, rise up again. The latter is in pretty much every game, but the former implementation is something us old COD players have been dreaming of. The global chat function works just as you think. It's literally just talking to all players in the match. The simple yet most effective thing that has elevated the gameplay in that game is being able to talk to the enemy team. If you played literally any old COD game, then you know how powerful this function can be, and the amount of banter and toxicity that arises when the going gets rough is actually hilarious. Everyone is calling out their teammates, and in certain scenarios, you best prepare for the time when the opposite team writes, "It's about sending a message." You could also use the global chat as a tactic, such as saying what your team is doing and making the other team think that you're actually about to do a play, Or you could mentally nerf someone on the opposite team by calling out their negative KD and making their team look at them to switch, making this a next level Jedi mind trick, because now you just made them switch to a character that they've never even played before, and now you just utterly send them into this further spiral of losing and getting cooked, and yeah, they lost. This level of social interaction in a PvP game has been dreadfully missed, and there are a vast amount of games that would thrive so much better with the ability to talk to enemy teams during gameplay. There are even some interactions I see where people on the same team trying to be as immersive as possible playing certain characters and like to pretend that they are the characters they're playing. Me personally, it's a bit, cringy, but hey, if they get the job done well, who am I to judge? This and Marvel Rivals certainly did a fantastic job of bringing these two communities together. I missed this point earlier when talking about the character designs, but there's so much dialogue and interaction between the characters in the game that it makes you really feel like you're in the Marvel universe. The neat interactions you get at the start of every round, and when you defeat certain people as certain characters, you get a special voice line. Fans of the Marvel universe will recognize a lot of the lore that's said between the characters, and even as a non-Marvel fan, it's a nice way to introduce them to the character history and world building. I wonder if they would ever have a story-based PvE side, contrary to Overwatch. I think that would be really cool and actually a very interesting play, seeing as I'm a huge Marvel fan myself. But there's one more point I want to go over when talking about Marvel Rivals, and that are the cons. There's so much good that came with this game, but there are just some things that I literally have to address. Starting off with the game being ran on Unreal Engine 5. You're probably thinking, why is this a con? Well, the reason I'm mentioning this is because of the unoptimization the game has been plagued with during the first month and a half of the game's release. People with decent spec PCs and even the latest gen consoles have suffered massive frame drops. I'm talking about you dropping all the way to 0 frames for a long duration, not even being able to play the game at all. You literally have to put your controller down and just look at your screen like, what am I doing? With this also comes the large amounts of disconnects due to the game literally crashing mid-fight. They released a patch for the game sometime in January to help out with all the crashes and frame drops, and that actually helped out a bit. At least for me personally. I haven't crashed out of the game in a while, but sometimes I still drop to 0 frames, albeit not as often as before. I believe with future patches, they will try to fix these issues further, as there aren't many games on Unreal Engine 5 to even begin with, so it's really only a matter of time before these issues become minimal. Another huge con for me is the lack of cross progression and cross-play in ranked. The latter a little bit, for me, is more of a skill ceiling issue when it comes to PC and consoles, but the former makes absolutely no sense to me. I say this so many times to my friends that online games should have these two things base kit moving into 2025. No games, especially online and PvP, should have to wait months or years in order for these two things to happen. Since you can't play ranked with your friends on PC and console in Marvel Rivals, you're sometimes forced to hop on either or in order to play with your friends. But then the lack of cross progression makes it so all the skins and progress you have with the characters on one of the systems are completely gone. But I honestly think that these things should be worked out on before a game's release and not after. And I do understand that not a lot of people have both PC and consoles for them to just switch. So I feel like that's also another point as to why these things should be base kit when a game is coming out. But I'm hopeful with time that these things will be implemented into the game. And with that, my Yap Fest has come to a close. I know a video has been definitely long overdue since the last one was in October, I believe, and honestly my drive was running low on making videos, but now I'm back, baby, and we aren't stopping ever again. Thanks to all of you who've reached out wanting more videos and coming to me personally saying they enjoyed my solid videos. I really hope I deliver on that end with some bangers planned for future videos. I do have another video I want to make coming out with the changes that I want to be making to the channel, and I really do hope you guys will enjoy that video. And honestly, if we hit 500 subs, I'm doing a face reveal, and there's going to be so much planned. Just watch. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did writing it, and I hope you all stay safe and stay happy. I'll definitely see you in the next one.